3, 2,
Dos, uno.
And welcome to this episode of the Destiny Podcast, this lovely, lovely Destiny podcast. You know, it's been an interesting one day of this weekly reset, if I may say so myself, but let's get straight to the point, all right? And I'm joined once again by Nick and John. Welcome, boys.
Thank you.
And I'm also joined by a dear, dear friend of mine, Jerome. Say hello,
Welcome.
Jerome.
How you doing, everyone?
Yes.
Hello.
So viewers, have known Jerome since high school. We used to go to high school together. And he's actually an avid Destiny player. And so for the longest time, all of college, I had no idea that he played Destiny. And I actually didn't just find out until now. So what a great, great thing for me to find out. Isn't that right? Yes, it is. So the week started off and nothing super substantial happened at first. But for those of you who have actually completed the weekly quest for the war table, what an interesting quest.
Have you finished it this time, Nick? We're not spoiling it, are we?
I'm caught up.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good. I was
Every
worried
week,
for a
Nick.
second.
Every week.
Jerome, did you manage to do the seasonal weekly quest for the war table?
I have not.
Well, that's okay. I'm still going to spoil it for you. But it's not. I mean, it's not much of a spoiler, to be honest.
Oh, that's not much of a spoiler now. No.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm a spoiler for people. I know.
Yeah,
that.
it's perfectly fine. I don't care too much.
It's not much. Jerome loves Destiny, but I wouldn't say Jerome is the deepest when it comes to lore. He's learning though. He's coming along. He's getting better. He's gonna hopefully do his first Deepstone Crypt tonight.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Enjoy.
Yes, sir.
I'm not one of those people who's like, if you get the exotic the first time, then I hate you. Like, I'm just like, I hope you get it. I heard it's awesome. My little brother, it took me like many runs to get 1,000 voices, and my brother's first run with me, he gets 1,000 voices, and I was like, that's awesome, as I say through gritted teeth. Well, anyway, the seasonal quest, quite interesting if you pay attention to the quest steps and whatnot. Basically, it gets really, really dark, really, really fast when you get the revelations of what the Scions were doing on Nessus. Do you guys want to explain?
So about the tech.
Yeah,
John, you want to have a crack at it?
Crazy implications of this season.
Yeah, the prediction machine.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, so the prediction engine. Yeah, so the Scions have broken in and are trying to use the prediction engine to predict the outcome of the coming conflicts with the darkness and with us and with Zavala, etc. And every single, like Doctor Strange, every single outcome showed that there was no Zavala. So the only way for them to come through this coming conflict with the last city and with the Guardians is to assassinate Zavala, basically. So they've created some tech, which is like a light extractor, which is based on the technology that Gaul had, that he put around the Traveller, but it's miniaturized, so it's like going from the old iMac to an iPhone, and that will pretty much stop his ghost from being able to resurrect him, and then they plan to assassinate Zavala that way. So, which is an absolute massive, because for me, that ties into one of the futures that Dexter Stranger came from.
Yeah,
because in her timeline, Zavala, did he go bad and then die or something like that?
Well, he didn't die, right? He was just like old and grizzled, and he was like.
And he lost his ghost. So
yeah.
That was it. That was the bit that tied into it with his ghost being lost.
Lightless,
so so they could use that technology and to temporarily make his ghost not function, but in the end it could backfire, which would then cost him his ghost. So we then have Osiris and Zavala that are ghostless or lightless.
That would be very interesting.
It would.
Yeah.
And like Nick is completely right that and John, both of you are completely right that weird lore story and how, you know, I think a lot of people forget the fact that when a true guardian, they don't age because of their connection to the light, because they're immortal. So, and that I remember that lore story, Zavala has a beard and Savathun like ripped his leg off or something, you know, and he was without a ghost. And it's interesting because like that lore story doesn't really state how he lost his ghost, you know, and we do in that lore story we're told that Ikora died a long time ago.
Right.
Maybe that's why she's going to be such a big part of the Witch Queen. Maybe that story will still come true to a certain degree. Don't know, you know, because I think it vaguely states that Ikora was killed by Savathun, give or take. And so if that's like when they're saying, oh, Ikora is going to be a bigger part of the story, she's going to have a huge role in Savathun. And I'm like, well, if Ikora has a huge role in Savathun,
that's the writing on the wall right there.
Yeah, she might die in then.
We
You know,
already lost.
So it could be that. So obviously, within the real world as well, there are those that believe that you know, there are steps throughout life that are predetermined. How we get to those steps, and that could be this. The story beats could be the same. You know, Ikora has a big part to play, and there is a conflict with Savathun, but she may not die. So that story beat may be there, but the outcome may be different because we interfere. Because as Crow says, he says that the Vex can't predict our actions. They can predict everybody else, but we are the variable. So maybe we're the variable that stops Ikora dying, that stops Zavala losing his leg. You know, he may always lose his light, but we may be able to save the guy's leg. You know, so at least he can walk, he can strut around the tower with that kick-ass beard instead of hobbling around. You know, so and maybe us saving his leg allows him to then save Ikora. You know, he could. There's so many dominoes that could fall, but there'll always be those story beats, and maybe that's what we're getting through the text with the Exo Stranger is that yes, somebody will turn, whether it's Eris, whether it's somebody. That beat will always happen. Zavala will always lose his ghost. Ikora will always go into conflict with Savathun, but what happens before and after that is yet to be written in our timeline. So,
yeah, and that's why that lore story I think is that a lot of people I still think. I wish there was like a way that we could rate how many people in the player base have read lore stories, because I genuinely don't think enough people have read it because it's so good, and I definitely think that more people should read it because the implications, like you said, that could come from that are innumerable. And like, I just very much, I'm really anticipating a main character is gonna die soon at some point. I feel like it's gonna happen. You know.
I think before we go down this rabbit hole, should we find out a little bit more about Jerome? Like, questions. So
let's do a little. Let's do a little
class
player spotlight. Oh, you're gonna love him then, Jerome. Go ahead.
Best be a warlock. Best not be a hunter.
Yeah.
Don't be a hunter, Jerome.
You're gonna like Jerome then. You're gonna like him.
Not at all. When I first started playing, first and foremost, I'm very excited that we're gonna break out the pegboard and red string here to find out who's going to die next. Sounds like we're very much going to be descending into the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been playing Destiny for quite some time, since Destiny 1 actually, and I had taken a break from it for quite a while, but it was the story that brought me back, man. The gameplay. I'm hearing that there are a lot of quality of life changes that are coming very soon, very soon, as a matter of fact. Very excited for that. But if I had to say, I am probably a hunter main, even though for the first like year and a half that I've been playing Destiny, I was a warlock main, but I sort of got disenchanted with the warlock gameplay, and then I just decided to branch out and get a titan and a hunter, because why not? And the hunters really stuck with me. Very much a stompies kind of guy. Yeah.
All right.
Make life
You're
easy.
among friends, except John.
Spoken like a true, man of good taste.
Fine. Next
Eat it,
question
John.
then. What shoot your face? Next thing then. What's your
Mhm.
favorite exotic, like hunter exotic? So we asked these questions back right at the beginning when we first came on board. So it's just going back to that. So
Boy, favorite hunter exotic. Then I guess it's a pretty
don't
open
be
and
basket
shut case.
backwards.
Which
Sorry,
one
say
is
again.
it?
Yeah, it'd be a pretty open and shut case. Stompies in essence. When I first started getting into like farming exotics, before I knew who the mysterious tentacle monster who is referred to us as Zer is, um, I didn't really know anything about exotics or any sort of like higher end gameplay mechanics. But
Okay.
if I had to say, when I first started getting into exotics and things like that, not Wardcliff Coil, Wormhouse Crown was a big one for me. Celestial Nighthawk was another exotic that I used for a good period of time. But in essence, Frosties, and then when I got them, Stompies.
Yeah. Just
And
enhances the neutral game. Like, always good to have one, right?
100%. It's so much so to the point where if I have to change up my gameplay to the point where I need to use another exotic, I find it hard to facilitate my playstyle without using them. So
Right on.
it's been really interesting and trying to balance
I
that
feel
and
that.
trying to find suitable replacements.
Yeah, I get that more Warlock college. So I used to have, still never remember the name of it. I'm rubbish with names, but the helm that every time I used my super, it would heal me, and it took me a long time to adjust from not using that. When I got the gloves, the poison gloves from the Lost Sector, that's all I use now. Is those because it just helps so much. But it took me a long time to realize I can't run in and just pop my super and live. So because it was a get out of jail free card, you're going in. Right, okay, low health, that's fine. Run in, super pop, give everybody else some super energy as well while I'm at it, and then crack on. But it took a big change. What about weapon then? Which favourite exotic weapon?
Favorite exotic weapon? Now that's a much more difficult question. There's so many. I've been literally on a quest to collect as many as possible. If I had to pick some favorites, don't worry, I don't use it in PvP. PvP. Wardcliff Coil is definitely up there. It's funny, I was telling Dimitri this story. When my exotic quest for exotics first began, I posted on Reddit.
Nice.
I was watching YouTube videos about the Whisper of the Worm, and I'm like, how do I get this weapon? Posted on Reddit that same evening, like, I had a group of a good 4 guardians who were like, yo, we'll teach you how to get this weapon. I'm like, dope. And ever since then, I've just been collecting exotics whenever I can. So Whisper of the Worm, definitely, if it's not mistaken, it's the first exotic that I actually went out of my way to acquire. No Time to Explain is it pretty heavy in the rotation at present.
Well, that's one of my favorite exotics of all time.
Exactly.
Purely just because of lore reasons. Like we've already said before on the podcast, in Destiny 1, it wasn't very good. It was fine. It was glorified 4th time's the charm, but now it's a beast.
Yeah.
But
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I finally got it because obviously I've got it through Game Pass, so I didn't get it till this season, and I'm enjoying it. And there's been a lot of bounties this week, and last week that were pulse rifle related. So that's allowed me to do that. And then last question for me then: what's your favorite bit of lore? So whether it's a character, whether it's an event, whatever. What's your favorite bit of lore?
Favorite bit of lore.
That's a good question.
Or story, or
another.
Anything within that sphere.
Another quick side story so that you guys know a little bit more about me.
Sure.
I listened to a lot of Destiny related stuff just idly. So in the same way you'd study and listen to jazz, I do miscellaneous tasks around the house and listen to Destiny lore. The whole story behind the Iron Lords and what happened with Siva, that's really
That's a good one.
the entire Fellwinter storyline, and most recently the story about Clovis Bray and who Banshee 44 really is. It just makes me look at it in an entirely different light.
Yeah,
Good picks.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no. Siva's one that definitely is hit and miss because it was so good, but they done nothing with it.
True.
So
it's been forever.
Yeah, it's not going to have just stopped functioning, is it? It's not going to have gone. Oh, don't worry about it. We're just going to stay in our little bit of the Cosmodrome. so yeah, it's but maybe they created something that was so game breaking in respect to story, and it could fill a lot of holes. It could build structures for them that they're just hoping that we're forgetting about it. So
true. Well, it's hard to forget, especially considering I was in the Eververse shop the other day and I saw a Raiden Flux ornament that was Siva themed. And I was just like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember the mission I went through to get Outbreak perfected, and that was awesome, but hasn't really gone anywhere, has it?
I mean, yeah, maybe everybody got vaccinated and it was the end of
it takes that long
story.
to get vaccinated for COVID. If we've got to go for a golden age before we get there, so we come. So.
Well, Jerome, did you see the Anarchy ornament that's Siva?
Yes, I saw a couple of one there, which people then like, oh, maybe we'll get a Siva season and stuff like that. And it's like, maybe we will, but don't plant those seeds because you'll just be disappointed if it doesn't happen. So.
What about you, Jerome? Have you seen that ornament? It's in the Eververse.
I haven't.
Last week, wasn't it? I think.
You gotta go see it.
Literally googling it as we speak.
So good. It's a Siva ornament. The people have been dying for an Anarchy ornament since Black Armory came out, and now it has one. I feel like didn't they say like the ornament for Anarchy paid for something completely? I gotta look it up. But Luke Smith said like the Anarchy ornament alone.
Yeah. The Whisper mission, isn't it? Whisper,
Whisper ornaments. Two of them.
Well, no, he recently said that the Anarchy ornament already helped Bungie hit their sales goal. Anarchy.
That must have been very recent because
hilarious.
Sales goal. Let me see. Anarchy ornament sales goal. Luke Smith.
Anarchy Uniocracy.
Is that what it's called?
Right?
Yeah, Uniocracy.
That looks gross, but cool at the same time.
Yeah, like Siva's gross.
And
well,
what this reminds me of? There was a. I'm not sure if I'm getting too far into spoiler territory, but you guys seem to be on your P's and Q's on everything Destiny related.
What does it have to do with?
That ship in the reef that we were sent to investigate.
About the Glycon. Well, wait, be careful, because
very good.
I gotta be careful what I say because I don't want to spoil things because I know something. Some people
Nick won't have done it this week either, will he? So I haven't done it this week either.
I haven't done it this week now.
Okay. Well, I don't think what's talked about while you're doing the mission this week is like spoilers. It's Osiris and Kaido still talking, but it's new voice lines.
Nice.
So, which should be careful.
You hear from the Guardian as well, don't you?
You do hear from Catabasis.
Yeah.
I mean,
not going to go over what he goes on about again because you can discover that. But yeah, you actually get voice lines from him this week, like proper, which is good. So
yeah, I mean that's not much of a, I'm not going to reveal something that I do know about the mission because obviously that'd be mean. But yes, so I figured out last night that like your first run every week features the new voice lines, and then it goes back to the original voice lines, as far as I can tell, because I did 2 runs. But
also on that, if you miss a week, so like if you didn't do it last week, this week will be last week's content, and next week will be this week's content. So so if you miss a week, you'll be a week behind. So yeah, it's like if I don't get it done this week, I'll be a week behind, but I'll try and get it done.
On that, to be honest, because I think if you missed a week of dialogue and all that and collectibles, I really do think you should be able to just go back in for another run and be able
because it's seasonal content and it'll be around for the whole of the year. It's a little bit different now. On the old model, then yes, I 100% would have agreed because I was like, oh, come on. But now I've got, especially because we've got till January, February. Well, you are.
Well, I mean, I'm up to date when it comes to like the voice lines, but I'm not I'm 2 weeks behind on the collectibles. So last night, my brother and I managed to find the first week's worth of collectibles.
All right,
There's
so you won't be able
3 weeks.
to do this week's then because
Yeah.
you
So
did last week's this week. So yeah, you've got to wait
next
till
week
next
I'll
week
have
now.
to do the second week. So there's 3 weeks of collectibles, listeners. There's 3 weeks of collectibles. And you can't, once you do 1 week's worth of collectibles, you cannot do the next week's until the next weekly reset. After you get all 3 weeks worth of collectibles, which I believe there's 5, and then there's 6, and then there's 6, I believe. But I could be wrong. I can't remember, to be honest. But anyway, once you get all the collectibles from the 3 weeks, then you can get the shell of Gilgamesh, which is in the system. You can see it in the game.
I don't know if it looks any good.
It's weird
feels like
looking.
it's a bit plain.
It's huge.
You know, it looks good, but yeah, it's
a very, very big. I think it's the biggest ghost shell they've ever done.
Even bigger than the new Gladiator one that's on the season pass.
Yeah,
That's
it's
huge.
massive. It looks like the end of a sledgehammer. It's massive. It's in the game in your collections. You can see it. It's definitely very Tex Mechanica. But yeah, you log in, you play through the mission. It's just more of Osiris and Keitel talking and just like, expanding on the lore,
Good God.
that, like, the lore is very, very interesting. I love this dynamic of Osiris and Keitel literally just talking to each other. And then you obviously get to hear from Catabasis, which is pretty cool. What he says is really, really cool. I mean, it's more so like they've been saying, you're piecing together the story of what happened on the ship, what went wrong. And like Catabasis, I think it would just be Catabasis voice lines are just like basically like him, like excerpts of him talking, and they give really good insight as to like what the hell was going on at the time, which is really cool. And I really think you guys should do it. It's really, really interesting. Honestly, he sounds a lot like Shin Malphur, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same voice actor for Shin Malphur. So, and
That's
I'm not
another
bitching.
plot
I
point.
mean, the guy who did the voice line for Shin Malphur was fantastic. So, but I think it's the same guy. If it's not him, then it might be the same guy who voiced Toland in Destiny 2. Could be him, actually, now that I think about it. But yeah, I mean, it's super interesting lore. It definitely is good enough to have me logging in every week to do the mission because, yeah, it's good to get random rolls, but I'm actually just doing it because I love the lore that I'm getting from it. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's nice. I didn't like expect this to become the new. I can't remember what the activity was called in Season of Arrivals when you had
Yeah.
that thing which like went on weekly. I suppose we have two different things simultaneously now. We
Yeah.
have the crow thing, and then we have this Glycon thing as well.
Mhm.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And what do you guys think about the little lore we're getting that Crow is basically acting as Zavala's unintentional bodyguard?
That's pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's just hanging out, looking through binoculars, just making sure Zavala's safe because of this whole Scion's trying to assassinate him. But the lore implications for that are way deeper than people think. Like this
Right.
indicates that Scions are literally sneaking into the city. Like, and they are murdering guardians and killing, like disabling their ghosts, murdering the guardians, and then just
Running
leaving them for dead. Like they're just leaving them there. Yeah, so they can kill Zavala, and it's all because Zavala pissed off Keitel by saying, "Nah."
So
Oh, that's super interesting.
that's my question on that is because the conversation between Keitel and Osiris doesn't lend to the fact that she's pissed off. So
Yeah.
what if there's somebody in her camp that is trying to take out Zavala and she's not aware of that? Because she could be playing both sides and she could be trying to keep Osiris sweet by going, look, we'll have these conversations each week, we'll look after this ship in the reef, etc. I want to find my dad. While also planning to kill Zavala, but it's incredible writing if that's the case. If they can pull that off, where we feel for her, and actually she's also trying to kill Zavala. I wouldn't be surprised if there's somebody else in that camp that has gone, look, you're not the leader we need, so we're going to do your job for you, and I will come forward and go, I killed Zavala. I'm now taking the title. I'm now leading what's left of our race.
On the
Just
contrary,
Again,
seems-
that's
It just seems like the least cabal way of resolving
exactly.
this.
It does.
Well,
Yeah,
it could be
yeah,
a scion.
You know, yeah, exactly. Because she could have killed Zavala in
Exactly.
that, or she could have tried to kill Zavala in that confrontation because they had the sniper rifles on it, and she told them to stop. So why would she do that unless there's something else at play? And I really think that's what's going to happen. Whether it's going to be somebody else is pulling the trigger, or whether there's something bigger at play, or not, I don't know. But I don't think it's as black and white as it appears that it's Kaito, because nobody, you know, it's I don't think it's going to be black and white.
speaking of something bigger being in play, they did really attempt to drive home the point that there are a lot of cabal that are like vying for her favor.
Yeah.
And so it could be that there's a bigger plot point in here. There's some sort of scion that's under her, that are in her ranks, that's trying to facilitate this chain to see, like, hey, that guy that dubbed you in front of most of your commanders, yeah, I killed him.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That
makes a lot of
sense.
sense.
Senpai in the tower.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
that would be very
exactly. So
interesting
something
plot
like that, I don't think it's straight. So, and that's good. It will be interesting to see what happens with that. Have you guys had the voice line in the Cosmodrome Battleground where Crow and Holloway are talking about Uldren, about what happened to him?
No, I haven't had it.
So I had it yesterday. I've not had it before, but basically there's a line, and they talk about Uldren Sov, like, and Amanda's like, yeah, he got what was coming to him. You know, he killed somebody very special, etc. And so, and obviously Crow's just there like, oh, well,
sweats beneath his hood.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I was like, holy snap, and it was at the end of the strike. So the beginning of the strike was different as well. It was Amanda Holloway going, like, speaking
Holiday.
to, yeah, speaking to somebody going, oh, I'm going for a tunnel, I can't hear you, I'm breaking up. So the beginning was different,
I got that one.
and then the end of it was different. Yeah, so so I was like, yeah, that was really cool. So again, when the revelation comes out who he is, it's gonna be massive, because, you know, they're giving side characters input on Cade's death. So, you know, it's not just going to be the Vanguard. You know, it's our shipwright, and it's everybody. So it's going to be impacted by this, and especially if Crow ends up saving Zavala's life.
Right, that'll be definitely the segue that we need to have Guardians as a whole, or at least story related, accept him. Because this is very much cloak and dagger, clandestine ops, Anbu Black Ops type situation here, where we have this guy who's like reborn as basically an infant. He has not much memory of what he did in his past life. That's trying to sort of, you know, go forward, having been brought back as a guardian, and like, wow, I actually did those things, but that's not the person I am anymore. Let's go forward with me being this new guy. And it's funny because before the I guess you could say the sort of update went out that we were able to interact with items in the helm, I was exploring the space, and I saw that he was at like the staircase that's beneath the main entrance. I saw this dude with like the helm. I'm like, yo, that's a Crow. And before we were able to actually interact with him, he was hidden underneath that staircase there. Probably have that screenshot on my console somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, because that's the thing, like, and that's why I think it's super interesting, because, like, in that lore tab, it's, like, explaining that, like, he's trying to prove himself to Zavala. Like, he wants to prove himself to Zavala, because Zavala doesn't, like, Zavala's, like, disrespecting him. Zavala's like, I don't have time for you. You're not a real guardian. And, like, and he's like, if I can protect Zavala, like, I can prove to him that I am a guardian, and that I can actually help them, you know? And I think that's just so interesting. They did such a 180 with his character, and I love it. And, like, I do love the little lines between him and pulled pork. Well, I mean, it's Glint now. Sorry, Glint. But, like, and I love how he's calling him pork bun, and Glint's like, can I get a disguise since we're doing like a Black Ops mission? He's like, you don't need a disguise. And he's like, fine, I'll get you a disguise. And he's like, and they're like talking about how, like, well, we're not common friends. We're like legendary friends, but we're not exotic friends.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's so nice to read. I love it. But I just think it's so interesting
So
that every time
innocent,
we're
isn't it?
interacting with him, yeah, Glenn seems fantastic. But I think it's so cool that every time we're talking to Zavala, somewhere in the wall or something, Crow is there keeping an eye on him to make sure he's safe. And I'm and obviously we see him in that cutscene in the trailer in that area. I don't know where it was, but they're on that area and he's with Zavala. And I couldn't tell if he was wearing his mask. I'd have to check again. He probably was, but I don't know. And then they're talking to Keitel. What if there's two possibilities I'm thinking of now because of what you guys have said. What if down there they're talking and either Keitel's general tries to kill Zavala and Crow steps in to protect him, or Keitel tries to kill Zavala with the thing and Crow steps in to protect him. And then she's like we know that it's more than likely going to get to the point where she has to basically just accept us for what we are and ally with us out of desperation more so than out of pride because we have to basically humble her ass all season. But I'm very curious. Your guys' theories have changed my whole thinking about all of this. And I'm like, I didn't think of that. Damn, I'm an idiot. But
Well, I guess we'll find out on the 23rd of March because that's when the new strike launches, and I won't be surprised if that is the prelude to the strike. So
that would be interesting. I mean, the only things we've heard from the strike was that one voice line in the trailer where she's like, "It lives, it breathes," and she's obviously talking about that giant fucking tank. A huge. It's just a big ass tank.
The land tank, yeah.
Yeah, and I just think about how all this technology is wasted on this pointless conflict between the two of us when we could totally be using that against the Hive. And if we end up blowing it up or something, what a shame. What a shame. But I did hear an interesting voice line in the helm. I was literally sitting in the helm on my phone waiting for my brother, and my volume was really, really high. And I was sitting next to the
Wait, your
stash.
volume or your volume?
Well, yeah, I know my pronunciations for certain words are super weird. My volume was super high, so I could just hear everything. No, my volume was really high, and I was standing next to the stash and I heard Crow, and he was talking about like some data, and he was like, I found some data that the Cabal are amassing near the gravity well of Neptune, and I was just like.
New planet alert.
Oh shit! Are either they're teasing something about Neptune, or is that where the Cabal are hiding the rest of their fleet, like the women and children and all the elderly and their supplies and stuff? Like I was like, are they hanging out next to Neptune? Because that's like way fucking out there. For all you science people, you know what I'm talking about. Basically, in a nutshell, at different times of the years. Neptune is farther than Pluto, and then Pluto is farther than Neptune because of the elliptical orbits. So Neptune is like, what you really need to know is Neptune's really fucking far. Like, really fucking far.
A really good place to hide something.
Yeah. And the only Guardian I know that's been that far, I believe, is
Osiris.
It's Osiris. He's been out towards the edge of the heliopause, where he first encountered the anomaly. Now, that made me think, maybe it's nothing, but maybe it's something, I don't know. It was just a weird voice line I heard last night. And I definitely suggest if you're hanging out in the helm, hang out up the staircase, or if you can hear Crow. And if you hear it, dude, it's super cool. Because he's like, maybe they're amassing there. Maybe they're hiding something or something like that. And I was like, oh shit, is that? Because remember, Holiday said in the battleground or something, where are the women and the children? Where are all that?
The rest of the Cabal Empire, basically.
Yeah, what's left of them, because they don't want and then we saw last night. If you complete the mission, the weekly mission, Saladin says we have to keep cutting off their supplies and all that because without their home system, they're going to reach a point where they have to ally with us or they'll starve. They'll have no ammo, they'll have no food, they'll have nothing, they'll have no fuel, and I'm like. Oh shit! This is like all coalescing.
Yeah, this is an actual war.
Yeah, Holiday doesn't know where their fleet is. We're trying to cut off all their supplies. Crow speculates where he knows where the fleet is. What? Like, I mean, I'm just saying, if we got a public space eventually near Neptune, if it looks anything like Neptune did in Ad Astra, I'll marry this game. I will marry the game. It's 2021. I can marry a video game now.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Sure.
And actually, for all
Stranger
of you,
things have happened.
if for everyone who hasn't seen Ad Astra, highly recommend. Just saying. But yeah, what do you guys think? What do you think of that idea? I mean, what do you think of that voice line? I mean, it could be a one-off, but I think it's pretty.
I've not the voice line yet, so I've not heard it.
I'll have to find the text.
Sensei.
If I can find the text, I'll send it to you guys. But that's
Sounds good.
interesting. Yeah, I mean, because I saw Paul Tassie's video. Shout out to Paul Tassie. He's been cranking out videos like every day.
Shout out to Paul Tassie's dog Evie.
For
His
yeah,
dog-
oh yeah, the little
It's
chunk.
amazing. Yeah.
Dog is
Well, I
so
watched his Outrider video earlier before literally while I was waiting for this kick off, and you just hear her go up the stairs behind him, jumps on the sofa, sticks her head over the sofa, and then leaves. It's like I'm only tuning in for that dog. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I'm watching this ball.
Well, he was worried that he was going to copyright struck because the game booted up in the background, but thankfully the audio.
I couldn't hear the music though. Yeah.
Yeah,
couldn't
but
hear
I mean,
it,
you
so-
can't be copyright struck for Destiny because they said like 2 years ago, they said, all of you Twitch streamers, all of you YouTubers, everybody, you have the right to play our music in the background. We don't care. So like, you can't be copyright struck for Bungie's music, by the way, guys. For Destiny music, you can use it to your heart's delight. They said we
Awesome.
could.
That's how Life gets away with his intro, isn't it? So,
Yeah, all the time, and so does
Yeah.
Cactus. Cactus uses
Yeah.
it too. I'm pretty sure.
And their music is actually dope. So
It's
that's
right.
Yeah,
fantastic.
There's no
Yeah.
Destiny song I've ever heard that I didn't like.
True. And they'll instead focus train their lawyers on the anti-cheat.
Mm-hmm. They're doubling the team, but what were we talking about?
String
My mind
theory.
went
Paul,
into-
And,
Paul Tassi. Yeah.
Paul Tassi, yeah, I was watching Paul Tassi's video,
Tassi.
and he was talking about the idea that because we saw and we've already talked about how Bungie announced, Witch Queen was delayed and Lightfall was delayed, but there's going to be a new saga, a new chapter after Lightfall because they want to expand on the story. And he was talking about, what if we go to Tor Batal? What if we go help the Cabal reclaim their homeworld? What if we go to Fundament and we go to the Hive homeworld to finish them off or something, But he was talking about, he's like, Bungie is going to have to start taking us out of the solar system. If they really want to make this feel like a living, breathing world, eventually we're going to have to not even fully leave the solar system. Because I know he said that Mass Effect Andromeda was too removed from Mass Effect.
Yeah, but that was like 400 years or 800 years of cryostasis to get there.
Yeah.
There's enough stasis in this game. We don't need any more of it. So
Yeah, right.
Whoa.
So I'm
bloody
like,
hell.
it'd be interesting.
But I don't know. I feel like the touchstone of having Earth somewhere close by and having like something relatable. I think if you have something only like, let's say 6 alien worlds, I don't know how compelling that is.
Yeah. Then it feels.
I
Depends
mean,
how you get
I
there.
love that, but I don't know
Yeah.
if
Well, at the
They feel
same
like it's
time, this is a space opera, and I feel as if making these changes, we did cut back on a significant amount of locations. What
Mhm.
with the second to last expansion, but our regular players' hardware will be able to keep up with that. What with the rollout of the new consoles, I'm not sure about you guys, but I play on the PS4. I'm so excited for crossplay because I have a ton of friends who play, but they're like, yeah, I'm on PC or yeah, I'm on Xbox.
Mhm.
So I feel like the ability of the capability of consoles going forward would be able to facilitate that. So that's a strong possibility. We could be leaving the Sol system. We could be hearing more from the 9, if we go outside of our local system, so to speak. I'm really
Sure.
excited for the prospects of that.
I think I took a picture of a theory somebody had about the 9. I don't know if I have it still, but but that's an interesting theory. I mean, that's the thing. Like, because like you said, we lost locations. So what if it gets to the point where it's like, okay, so we lose Nessus, but we get Tora Bottle. We lose, you know, I know that Tassie mentioned Old Chicago, which has been referenced quite frequently actually in the newer lore. They've been actually talking more and more about Old Chicago. That was supposed to be a location in D1, just like I believe Mumbai was supposed to be a location. But, you know, somebody said like, you know, and he said it, but somebody else wrote on Reddit or something like, what if eventually we leave the EDZ behind, which I'd be fine with,
at long last,
and it gets replaced with Old Chicago during the Witch Queen, because Old Chicago has been has been talked about quite a bit in the lore recently. I believe it mentioned like they captured a hive there, or something like a monster or something, you know. So I'd be totally cool. Like sunsetting weapons and stuff obviously didn't work, but sunsetting locations I think it's different. Like it shouldn't be compared to sunsetting weapons and armor because it just operates completely differently. And you know, I can live with losing a location if it gets replaced. So like we could lose EDZ if we get Old Chicago, and that'd be awesome. You
right,
know,
we don't miss the EDZ. We've had the EDZ
no, I don't miss
for
the EDZ.
time immemorial now.
Exactly.
I agree with you 110%. Like,
You know,
then again, we have quite a bit of time with Destiny 2 still. We've got a few locations on Earth. And the thing that I'm not sure if it was just me being, you know, that guy, because I do watch a lot of of movie rants. I forget the name of the YouTube channel presently. But I always wondered, why do I have to return to orbit and then descend back down to planet Earth to go from the EDZ to the tower?
that's true.
Old consoles.
Technological capabilities of the consoles, but at the same time, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that.
I'll take a trip over the pond, and I'll be over at the tower in no time.
Yeah, I mean, I wish at least that the load screen was different. If you were, like, I know that it does like the whole you're flying, like you go back to orbit and you go back down, but I wouldn't mind if instead it was just like you just go straight to just flying over.
Right, just
Earth.
skip over the southern Cape of Africa and bam.
Yeah,
you're in the
there you
EDZ.
go. Because I remember in Destiny 1, it used to be like that. If I'm wrong, I'm sure the viewers will let me know. But if I can remember,
Let the
when
hate
you
flow
went
through
from
you.
exactly when you would fly from, well, I mean, I guess planets didn't have two locations. All right, well, I mean, remove the whole going to orbit thing. Just do the whole load, even if the load screen's like a couple seconds longer. Just do the whole like you're flying over that planet the whole time. Then it just lore-wise makes more sense than going all the way back to orbit. It's kind of just stupid. Doesn't make sense. I know it's not a big deal, but like, you know, it's a little thing that when you mention it, it's impossible not to think about now. It's kind of like when people, God damn it, when people mention that the Hunter ornament helmet looks like a smiley face. Once I saw that, I was like, oh,
you can't unsee it.
Now I can't unsee it. Now I can't use it because all I see is a, you know, so it's stupid. For all of you listening on audio, I made a stupid looking smiley face. But yeah, I mean, you know, these are all very interesting thoughts. I mean, you know, if there was, this is a good question actually for all of you. And we'll start with Nick, we'll go to John, then we'll go to Jerome. If there's one location, and it can't be an old location, that's cheating. If there was a new location in the lore, or even just personally you think would make sense for Witch Queen, what would you want? What do you think would be good for the game?
I would probably still, I think the most realistic thing is to still, like, if it's for the next expansion over, then maybe not outside of our solar system. So, so maybe, maybe I'm thinking moons, but like obviously going Ganymede or something would be kind of like, we already had Europa, and you know, all the big moons are almost like used up at this point. So I don't know. Return to Phobos, nah. Maybe a moon of Saturn. I don't know. Like somewhere it would have to be inside this solar system. I don't really have anything like what I'm kind of hoping for actively. Like I don't know. Yeah.
Well, if
Can't
it's a
say.
big expansion, then I mean, I'm assuming that there would be a new location for an expansion like that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What about you, John?
So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to break your rules straight away. So Dreadnought, I think going to the Dreadnought and finding a way of traveling from the Dreadnought to wherever Savathun is. So that would be more of like a landing base. We wouldn't get well, potentially we could get the whole Dreadnought back, but that could play the role of Phobos, where we go to the Dreadnought. There is, there is a secret chamber that we never discovered before that actually leads to some way of getting to one of the what they called
Ascendant Realms.
Ascendant Realms.
Plane.
Astral plane. Yeah, the Ascendant realm. So there could be a way there of activating that or something. Because we've got to go there. We have to spend more time in their world. And Mara's been there for ages, so there's no reason why we can't. She can't have created a version of a location that we've currently got, but it's in the Ascendant realm. So, there's no reason why that she can't do that, and we can't go and exist there to do whatever. So, because otherwise, what we were going to go? Saturn? There's only so many planets in our solar system
that aren't gas giants.
And it's funny you say Saturn, because that would have actually been a perfect segue. I was thinking it would make a lot of sense lore-wise to sort of pick some obscure moon. A moon of Jupiter would be a bit too close because we've been to, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Europa is a moon of Jupiter. It'd be a bit too close to home.
Yeah.
Saturn, however, Saturn is a bit strange in its composition, and most of its moons look like rocks that are devoid of life, similarly to our moon. So I'm thinking Hyperion, maybe Janus, one of those moons at a gas giant. Saturn is a strange planet. Lore-wise, anything hive related is thought to be sort of cold, devoid of any sort of warmth of life. Saturn would be the ideal place for something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we have the Dreadnought is in the rings of Saturn, right? So
perfect.
Yeah.
Enceladus is a moon of Saturn, and that was the original location for the Deepstone Crypt. And that's a very interesting moon of Saturn that's really bizarre. So that'd be an interesting idea.
We never had it confirmed that the Deepstone Crypt were there. We were just like it was referenced a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
so,
I guess in storyboarding for Destiny 1, that's where the team wanted to put it. And then I don't think they ever fully explained why they changed their mind. But maybe it's because they have a better idea.
Watching the deep dive today, they spoke about the darkness statue that is there.
The entity.
Yeah, so we know that clarity control is what allowed Exos to gain the sentience and the free will to exist without going crazy. So for all we know, there is another version of that there, and the reason it gets mentioned is because it's another seed of a memory that is planted within Exos to be like, okay, if anything happens to the Deepstone Crypt here, you can go and find clarity or whatever the darkness wants to call it at another location. So that's what came to mind because they spoke about it and they spent a few minutes talking about it, about its design, why it was there, why it appears to have an invisible force field around it, because the ice freezes in a sphere around the statue. It doesn't make contact with it. So there is thought that has gone into that design and its placement and why it's there. So for me, it could be, like the Promethean beacons in Mass Effect. There could be multiple ones scattered about and they're all linked, whether they're linked through teleportation, whether they're linked through just, like some sort of psychic wave or communication beacon. But it could be a seed that's planted in every exo because it's part of clarity control. And then we can get the wish of going there because that exists. So
that makes a lot of sense.
That's actually, Well, I mean, in context, let me reword what I said. The original idea in storyboarding was DSC to be there, but your theory is very interesting. I mean, all they have to say is, well, we did say it's on Enceladus, but we didn't say what it was. That's really interesting.
Which one?
Exactly, because we do know We do know that on the moon in the pyramid is one entity. We do know that there's one entity on the Deep Stone Crypt, and we do know that there's one entity that was in the Anomaly Crucible mission, and that entity, I believe that's the one that was on the pyramid. Bife would have to confirm this, but that's what drove all the people insane in that lore. But we did see, actually, that reminds me, in the Glycon mission, one of the craziest things that Osiris says that plays completely into John's theory, in my opinion,
is that hunters are better than warlocks. Is that what he said? That's crazy.
Yes, that's exactly what he said. He was like, I resent that I was a warlock. I would have gone back and been a hunter. No, what he said was he basically said that the entity, the statue, is not exactly the same as the darkness. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing. He doesn't really say much. He literally says like one line. Like it's like one sentence. It's not even like a line where you're like, whoa! It's more like, huh. And so, like, to me,
do we know what the darkness is, though?
No, that's the thing. Yeah. No one really knows what it is. So, like, for me, when I listened to it last night, I didn't go like, what? I was more like, huh, that's interesting. But it doesn't really mean anything yet until we actually encounter the darkness. And I mean, I always figured that. I mean, I think it makes sense in general that, like, obviously the statue is not the darkness. You know, to me, it gives me the idea of, like, if you guys remember, and sorry, but this game is more than 10 years old now. So Mass Effect, we all thought that the Protheans were dead. Spoiler alert, you should have played the games by now. The Protheans are the Collectors, and the Collectors are the Protheans. But I remember that the director for the game or whatever said that the Prothean statues, the weird Cthulhu things on Ilos, he said that those statues were the original Protheans. But because of the Reapers, they genetically modified them into the Collectors. So that was interesting to me because I'm like, well, the entity clearly speaks for the darkness, or it's a conduit for it to talk or to converse with us. But I never once thought, oh, that's the darkness, because obviously it's not. It's a statue. But it is its own thing. So it's very interesting to just be like, all these theories you're saying, and obviously the statue helped provide the means to create Exos. So I don't know where they could go with all that, but
if you look at it from the narrative perspective that they laid out for us at the beginning, they said that the Traveler had an ancient enemy.
Yeah.
They said that the pyramid ships are always never far behind the Traveler. However, similarly to any army, you have a vanguard, and then you have the upper management, so to speak, your generals and your superiors. So once again, they've definitely gave themselves a pretty hefty hand of cards here to play, because you could really go any way with this. You could just say that the pyramid ships were the first wave, and the Traveler's arch enemy, which would be like the Void to Marvel's Sentry, could be coming in a later release, basically. The Traveler's true enemy, the commander of the darkness, could be, some super OP entity from beyond the system that's just like testing us currently.
Yeah, I do like the idea of it not necessarily even being like, maybe the darkness isn't like, maybe they don't have their ground troops and things that run around on two legs or anything like that. Maybe it is like something that speaks through, something like objects or things that are more direct, like, something that we maybe can't comprehend normally as like beings, maybe it's not your traditional thing. Maybe, like, I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't turn out like, okay, now we see this is the darkness, different levels of combatants of darkness persons running around. Maybe it is something more sinister and maybe
Metaphysical.
transcendent. Yeah.
And now that you say that, that makes a lot of sense, because when we get into the Exo Stranger's like time jumping abilities, she's been to multiple realities where the darkness doesn't necessarily have an agent, but it corrupts the hearts and minds of individuals, and they fight on the darkness's behalf, spreading chaos and discord wherever they go. So perhaps the darkness isn't so much a hierarchy like army in that sense, but it has these emissaries that it sends out and it spreads.
Yeah.
You can get
That way,
very religious with it, can't you? Light and dark. You've got the traveler could be seen as, you know, a physical manifestation of religion, of the Trinity, and then the darkness. The devil's best work is making people, convincing people he doesn't exist. The darkness' best work is not having a physical body, is living through the actions of others. So, and I think, boiling it down to reality, Bungie are struggling to decide what they're doing. Hence why they've slapped another year on top of this saga, because they've had 6, 7. Well, they've been writing it for probably 8 years, if not more, and they can't figure out what the hell the darkness is. So
I think that's what it is. Okay. I thought it was the opposite, like they have a grander vision, but yeah, maybe.
Maybe they've got a grander vision now, but if they knew what the darkness was, and they knew the outcome of it, they would have been
Working
signs
towards
towards
that.
it. Yeah, whether it was a vision, whether when we encountered the darkness, we wouldn't have encountered a mirror of ourselves. You know, that's speaking volumes there, that the darkness isn't physical. It is literally, maybe it's, you know, like stasis. It was inside us all along, kind of thing.
It's a very Star Wars.
Yeah, the Force. Yeah, it's always there. It's not midichlorians. It's just a part of all of us and whatnot. If it was a real tangible thing, you would like to think they would have seen something of it now. Whether it is a statue that is deformed and is twisted and has got more than 2 legs, or if it's a remnants of a ship or technology, or the speaker would have gone, I've seen the darkness, I know what the darkness is, but I can't describe it. But it's been none of that. It's just been the darkness is on the edge of our peripheral vision.
Yeah, but I feel like the darkness is still like a slower burn than, let's say, like we got to deal with Savathun at some point. Like it's the short term is now like Savathun in a year or something, and then the darkness is gonna bookend the first like chapter of Destiny, right? From what they told us.
Yes.
So I think that's gonna be resolved after. So
that
I don't necessarily.
So this Savathun Lightfall, and then one more before the darkness is wrapped up. So that's another 3 expansions.
Yeah, so I don't feel like they're in any rush. Like they don't seem like in any rush to like even resolve it. Like they're just, yeah.
Yeah, well, they're not. But that's the point. Is I don't think they truly know what they know their end goal now, but they don't. Like we spoke earlier about story beats. They know what the ending's going to be. They just don't know how they're going to get there, because they probably don't want to let themselves down as well as us. You know, if they reveal the darkness and we go, that's just a human with 3 eyes. You know, you're going to be let down, aren't you? If it is an enemy that you can kill. If it's a red bar, you know, you don't want a red bar version of the darkness, do you? You want it. This is a decade.
Final boss level.
You know? This is Thanos. You know, we spent a decade of getting together, reading lore, speculating, you know, string theory, and then everything, just for it to be a red bar, like to be a red bar variant of that enemy. We don't want that. We need.
I just don't think there's going to be anything we can shoot that is the darkness.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't want that to be the case, but I don't know if Bungie's decided that yet, because they have to. End of the game, it's a game to collect. We shoot enemies and collect loot. We've got to put a bullet in something to finish this saga off. So whether that is there is a portal to the end to the darkness's realm, and we destroy that conduit. You know, it could be a conduit we destroy. It doesn't have to be the dark.
Like the Heart of the Black Garden or something.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think Bungie have decided what that is, or maybe they have now. Maybe over the past 6 months to a year, they've gone, we know where we're going to go. We actually need 12 more months to develop this. There's no way they knew that back in
timetable.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why they've gone, look, we need an extra 12 months or however long it's going to be. There's no way they knew this, because Savathun wasn't around in Destiny 1. It wasn't around in Destiny 1 Year 2. You know, it was darkness. You know, they changed the wording of darkness. When we came to D2, they got rid of darkness zones, didn't they? You know, it wasn't, you know, you'd go into a no respawn zone and it's different to what it is now. It's a different, the lore behind it is different. The display of text is different. So they've changed their definition of darkness between then and now. So, so hopefully they know what it is now, but they've not, they can't convince me that they've always known.
Well,
So
I feel as if they've done a fantastic job laying the groundwork for any multitude of directions that the darkness storyline can go.
yeah,
At the same time, like with the darkness, I feel as if the only safe way out of this is going to be sort of like the end of Naruto, in that you have this massively hyped character. For those of you who read or watched Naruto, you have this massively hyped character, the darkness to Madara Uchiha, and it's gonna be difficult to facilitate a final boss level fight where
Mhm.
it would satisfy the entire player base, both in its difficulty and its complexity and the way and the narrative way in which we get there. Um, it's going to take some fine tuning, but I feel as if going the metaphysical route with the darkness, once again, that storyline has been placed already. What with the story of the Drifter, you've got these light bearers that have become disillusioned with, blindly following this orb and decided to go with the contrasting triangles that come from the sky, and they want to, see, they've seen the darkness of the light, so to speak, in, the things that were going on during the Dark Age, and they they're basically looking for something else. And you're gonna have these sect of people who think that the darkness is an out, and then you're gonna have the people like Zavala who think there's only one right way to do things, and the light is the only place that you can draw power from.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Can we all agree, though, that what we don't want is a season-long event where we have to get 500 million kills to defeat the darkness? We don't want that.
Then we
Well,
all stand in a tower and see the darkness fall
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
down
yeah.
to
We
the
don't
ground.
want that. We don't want a season-long event or anything like we had last season with the stuff for Christmas. We don't want for we don't want
Dawning.
that. But, yeah, dawning. Yeah, we don't want any of that. We don't none of that nonsense where we might miss
Well,
out on it. Imagine if we missed out on it.
not
By
for
the way,
the
we gave you
conclusion,
another
no.
12 months of content because you failed to defeat the darkness. No, thank you, Butchie. Joe Blackburn, if you're listening, we like you. Don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. I mean, from what I could see on Twitter and whatnot, and the way he's conducted himself, I really like Joe Blackburn. Um, but this is definitely like very interesting stuff. I'm like looking at the lore right now, just trying to like keep up with it. But it's like these all these different how can I list it? All these different revelations are like blowing my mind, in the sense that like, you know, these the story is progressing for the first time in a long time in a very natural way, and it feels like there's real progression. And I think that the possibilities are endless, and I think a lot of players, even players that weren't always the craziest about the story, can feel very satisfied that the game is moving in a very structured direction where things are starting to make sense and things are starting to feel like they're actually moving towards something. They're no longer disjointed seasons that have nothing to do with each other, which is a terrible idea. Like, it all feels connected now. And that's like a stable form of progression that's helping the game stay relevant.
Oh yeah,
It all works
it's all
together
coming
in this
together.
big puzzle, you know. So I think we're all very satisfied where the story is going.
Have you
Agreed.
guys seen? I saw on Twitter that there's an emblem if you complete every single seasonal challenge. So there's one for completing the 75, but there's one for completing every single one. So
Really?
yeah,
Where's the emblem?
I'll try and find it again. So yeah, just in regards to the season, the content being worth playing and everything like that. Yeah, there's enough. The content's there, the story's there. I'm only logging on 2 or 3 times a week at the moment, but I'm getting everything that I need to do. I'm feeling rewarded for it. I'm feeling valued for my time. And that's a massive compared to how we spoke about the end of last season, or even 2 or 3 weeks into last season when we were like, "Where's the content? What's happening?" It's night and day. It's light and dark. It's so different. So,
Lol.
See what you did there.
Well, I'm trying to find where's the where's the emblem?
I'm looking. Give me a second. Can't pull it out of thin air.
The progress that we're making towards like a defined story path for Destiny I feel is felt across the player base. We're getting a lot of prayers answered from the dev team. We're getting darkness subclasses, to flesh out the very, I wouldn't call it tired, but the very well explored aspects of, what our guardians can do. And, that in a combination with all of the changes that we'll be seeing shortly, we'll be doing a lot to sort of, refresh Destiny. The tried and true methods that people have become used to for so long, they're finally going to get switched up. And I feel as if a lot of people are looking forward to that. And that could very much do a lot to expand our player base as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I can imagine that's something that the developers also, having worked this long with the same stuff, I feel like that's something they have to do from like a creative perspective. I really allow it for them. Like I hope they get to, realize their craziest visions with this, and hopefully with a little bit more independence and things like that. Maybe like this is needed for them to like not just burn out on this universe and want to move on. I feel like, yeah, take all the risks you want and just go crazy.
Oh yes, they can go crazy now. They can get as wacky as they want with the enemy subtypes, whatever plot points that they couldn't put through before. They have complete creative freedom for it now. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't find this emblem, so
Yeah. Well, all right. I won't share it. It's fine. Just because you've not pulled it
I
out.
can't find it. I'm trying to find it with you. I'm trying to find it with you.
So look for on Twitter. It's the user is SN3RV.
Oh, I thought you said it was in the game.
No, Dimitri.
Oh, what's the name?
SN3RV.
We need elevator music.
SN3.
Deadline. Yeah. Deadline to be claimed is 11:59 on May 11th. So it's called Master of All.
I don't see them. SN3RB. I don't see that.
V.
Oh, SNV.
Like Valium.
like
Valium or volume.
Oh yeah. Okay. I still see.
that callback.
Or SM. M as in man.
No. N as in no.
Why is it Twitter?
Yes.
I'm not. I'm typing in.
Can you type it in the chat so we can get this sorted?
Yes, I can. Just for Nick.
I'm trying to get this.
SN3RV. There you go.
Oh, SN3RB. No, I'm still.
All right, so we've got
Sierra 3RV.
Yes, Sierra.
Yes, V as in Victor.
November. 3 as in 3. R as in Romeo and V as in
Victor.
Well, I'm a moron.
Well, you know what
So
they
glad
say,
you don't
fifth
edit
time's
these
the charm.
podcasts.
I thought you were saying B.
No. That's why it's not called Valium or volume, is it?
So Valium. I don't know why I pronounce it like that, to be honest.
All right.
No idea why.
It was a
Valium.
good laugh.
Yeah, so there's that emblem, and it looks really cool, actually.
I really like it. Yeah, it's almost Hive looking because of the color scheme, but the emblem, I have no idea what the logo. But that's a very, very cool one.
I'll try and get that one. So the only way I'm going to miss it is if I did Iron Banner ones last week, but if you missed out on any of the rotational PvP challenges, they're going to be difficult ones. So, or if they go and throw in, you've got to do presage on master difficulty. That'll be obviously it can be done, but that'll be the one that'll limit some of the player base.
Yeah,
some of the player base won't be able to get it done. So,
Well, I mean, that's very interesting stuff. So, listeners, we've covered quite a few topics today. We have talked about a lot of stuff, honestly, that I didn't think we'd get around to. So I'm pretty happy that we actually got around to some of this stuff. There's not a lot going on this week in Destiny that's not already been going on, except for the Glycon mission and whatnot. If you haven't played the Glycon mission this week yet, play it. Get that interesting voice lines, the interesting lore. Make sure you're picking up those collectibles because they definitely expand on what happened on the ship and whatnot. Super interesting stuff. And besides that, I can't think of anything else that's going on in the game that's brand new that we haven't encountered yet. Anybody else?
No.
I haven't noticed anything. Yeah. Play some Mayhem. Get those double Nightfall rewards. Use Risk Runner peoples. Okay? Because this is an easy-ass Nightfall to farm. I mean, it is really easy.
Difficulty? Easy.
Yeah, right? Difficulty. Yes. So it's super easy, double rewards. I'm getting exotics and the auto rifle to drop like crazy. I was just telling Nick, I got 2 Mask of Backresses last night. I just got another Omni Oculus. Like,
I switched over to Omni Oculus from like 3 years of Dragon's Shadow.
And do you like it?
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna have to tell me on Twitter how much you like it. Give me your rundown, your understanding of it. I still haven't fully figured it out yet. But yeah, we covered a lot of topics, and I'll definitely put out an update on the TWAB tomorrow. We'll type up a quick summary or something. We'll figure something out. If it's an interesting TWAB, of course. But other than that, yeah. And thank you to my dear old pal, old buddy, old friend, Jerome, for joining us. We'd like to have you on more often, Jerome. Just saying, we'd like to have you around. So
absolutely,
invite is there.
Pleasure.
Likewise, gents. It's been nice talking to you guys. It's definitely feeling as if I'm becoming a Destiny main. I play Warzone. I play Apex. I play the occasional. What do you call that other one? The one with all of the anime characters. One of my friends got Jump Force. Yes. But Destiny's got my heart. It's got my wallet now that I.
He's fallen into the poison hole he'll never emerge from.
Yes.
Getting bungeed. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you're trying to escape and it just snaps you right back.
Yeah, one of us. It's a cult. Let's be honest. Destiny at this point is a cult. I do want to highlight 2 comments that I saw on YouTube about Destiny that I think pretty much sums up how we all feel about the game. Anthem dies, and then we get this. Every time a live server shooter dies, Destiny absorbs its life essence to grow stronger. And then I saw another one that said, we're in such a great codependent toxic relationship with Destiny, but we're all here until the end.
I couldn't agree more.
Like, it's easily the whole I hate Destiny. It's my favorite game. Yeah. So,
the love-hate is strong. It's funny when I describe Destiny to my friends, because sometimes I'm on the phone while I play Destiny and I'm playing PvE. I describe to them how the difficulty of the game isn't necessarily high. However, when your enemies have god tier accuracy and basically ultra instinct, I feel as if every time I go to shoot somebody, they teleport basically instantaneously. It can be, it gets you from time to time, but wouldn't have it any other way.
Overload champions test your patience.
Yeah.
But listeners, we hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll get it cranked out to you very soon. And we'll be here next week. And Jerome, the invite's there. We'd love to have you on, so let us know, and we'll be down for that. So
definitely.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Deep Stone Podcast. Thank you to Nick, John, and Jerome for joining us for this lovely episode.
Thank you very much.
Go down for this.
We will catch y'all on the other side.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.